welcome back to my channel. This is Christina at Homeschool and Grace, and if you're new here, welcome. I am a homeschooling mom to 5 daughters. I have a 5th grader, 2nd grader, kindergartner, preschooler, and toddler running around. So I talk a lot about my father's world here, and today is another weekly update for week 12. I feel like I need like clapping. Like, it's been a long time since I've done a weekly update. I went and looked back at my videos, and it was back in November I did a weekly update. Like, it's been far too long. I did some quarterly updates in December, but we are definitely due for a weekly update. So, week 12. I'm super excited to share with you guys. I'm doing it a little differently today. I'm going to just share the group subjects of my older kids that we do together with Rome to the Reformation, and then for my kindergartner. And I'm not going to show my preschoolers today because I'm like so behind sharing my preschoolers. I'm going to do kind of a whole update, like where we're at for her stuff, so that you can kind of, I can get caught up with where she's at. Okay, so to start out with our first subject, so I'll share with you when I get their curriculum. I literally, each day, we just start at the top and go all the way down. The only things that where we jump around is their individual stuff, and I mark it like they each did their spelling, so there's 2 check marks. They each did their English, you know, whoops, math. My oldest didn't get her math done that day, but my younger one did, so that's how I do it. And I just check it off that way. So those ones are done at different times, along with also their reading. To give a brief overview how I do it, so in the morning my youngest reads aloud to me before we start any other school, and then I start school with either my preschooler or my kindergartner, and they kind of flip-flop who goes first. And then we do lunch, and then everyone kind of gets a rest time break, and then I go into school with my older girls, and then they swap who does their individual work first with me. So either my 5th grader will go first or my 2nd grader, depending on what day it is or whatever. And then we go into working on dinner and stuff. So that is our typical homeschool day. It takes, I don't know, from start to end, I don't even know how many hours. Probably 5 hours maybe from start to finish for homeschooling. But, you know, I'm working individually, so no one's really sitting for 5 hours. Like in one big stretch. So let's just get into the work. So week 12 for Rome to Reformation, I'm going to start a little differently. Also, I'm going to start with my older girls, so the 5th and 2nd grader. And we start out with Bible. So they're still memorizing Romans 12. It'll end up being 12, 1 through 6, but they were doing 1 through 5 at this point. And they would do their copy work, which I feel like I'm not always super great. We typically get it done. I'm not always good at the dictation at the end of the week. So let me know if you're good at doing dictation. I'm not very good at getting the dictation done, unfortunately. And I also don't test on the memory verses. We just take turns. I guess we sort of test. I'll have them close their eyes, and we'll try and go through them. And like my younger one, I'm just having her memorize the first Romans 3:23, which is for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And then my older daughter, my 5th grader, is memorized, but God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That was Romans 5:8. And then we all do together Romans 8:28 and Romans 12, 1 through 6. So in the morning, or once we start school, I'm doing this because my verses are all over here on the wall. I'll pull it down and show you. But this is, we go through it. That's the first thing we do. Let me grab the big board. Like, why is she like doing this? Okay, I got this great big Post-it. So I ran out of space. It's so big. Okay, so up here at the dots, we start with the individual verses. We go into Romans 12, and it goes back up to here. So it kind of looks funny when you're reading it. But I love these big Post-it things, and they last years. If you just use them for like the verses, it's literally lasted us for years. Okay, so we also finished up learning about Paul and his journey to Rome, which was super cool and fascinating. And we're also using Journey Through the Bible. This it's scheduled in the teacher's manual, but this is actually out of print now, so I actually had to find this on eBay. You can't even get it on Amazon for cheap anymore. Like it's out of print, but it's really cool. I really enjoy using this as a reference, and I'll share. So we were learning about Paul in Rome, and here's that sign of like, what was it called? Oh, I'm sorry. This was the prison where Peter and Paul were imprisoned during his second imprisonment. Can I say it? This is the road that Paul traveled, and anyways, it's really cool reference to use. And then you also, it's referenced the DK Bible. I don't have that up here, but we really like that one as well. Okay, also I was super excited because we moved on to learning about Revelation, and I just think Revelation is fascinating, and it's so just neat to teach like your children it. I think it's really important, and so I will link below a website that I have used that has really good references and explains Revelation in a way that's tangible. I don't know. I always thought Revelation was like out of my grasp of understanding, and this organization has made it very like, oh, okay, it's not so scary and like I can't understand it. They've made it very tangible, I don't know, or for the layperson. So I super appreciate it, and I will have it linked below if you're interested in looking at that, so that it can help you then disciple your children while teaching Revelation. That's what I feel like Bible has become the most important subject this year for our school, Bible and history. So that's why I'm also kind of focusing today on it, because I just think it's so important. And let's see here. So we started Revelation, and you're going through the churches, and I really appreciate My Father's World kind of gives a brief introduction of like what to expect with Revelation, that it's apocalyptic literature, and like don't be scared of that word. It just means revelation. And then they go back to Old Testament prophecy, and then to New Testament prophecy with talking about Revelation. And so I just think it's fantastic. And about John, who wrote the book of Revelation, and being exiled to Patmos. And then they're very respectful of like, I know that there's many different views of where Revelation is, and like they understand that. And so they don't present any particular view. They just present simply reading, which I am like, that is where I'm at. Just like, read it. Is that a little forceful? I felt like that was a little forceful. I apologize. But read it. It's really great. So then we looked at some maps from the Journey book, and we were able to then locate the 7 churches that would be like in Turkey now. Modern day Turkey, I guess. Okay, so that was a lot. Okay, we also started Trial and Triumph. I love this. I think it's so fantastic. I mean, we just finished week 13, so we're a little bit farther in. But learning about church history is so important, and it's so good. So we read about Polycarp, and it was just fantastic. He was really amazing. So what was so fascinating about the time of Polycarp is that Rome actually called the Christians godless, because they would not bow down to Caesar or, give an offering to Caesar. And so they would call him godless while he's in, like, literally the Roman, I have one up here. Colosseum. The Colosseum. Ours is, like, in ruins. It's got some work to do, but this is kind of a cool thing. So he was in the Colosseum, and they called him godless. And then, let me show a better side. There, doesn't that look cool? Needs a little work. But he turned back to the crowd and called them godless because they truly were the godless. It was crazy. So they told him, have respect for the honor of your old age, the governor said. Swear by Caesar and save yourself. Point to the Christian prisoners there and say, away with the godless. And Polycarp turned from the Christian prisoners, pointed to the pagan crowds, lifted his voice to heaven and said, away with the godless. And then they tempted him again to deny Christ, and he refused. And he said, for 86 years I have been his servant, and he has done me no wrong. How then can I blaspheme my king who saved me? And he said finally, you try in vain to get me to swear by Caesar. Hear me plainly, I am a Christian. Remember that, Christian sister? We are Christians. So I just found it's so amazing. It's just so good to learn about these strong believers in the faith in times of going through such hard trials, and to teach our children them. I just think it's fantastic. Okay, so I spent a long time talking about Bible, but look at my new shirt. This is why. You see it? Theology matters. Amen. So that was my Christmas present to myself. Okay, so our next group subject would be English from the roots up. And so we're still learning about like body parts, the Latin root words for body parts. So we did manus and pedis. Pedis would be pedicure. So can you guess? Foot, feet. Very good. Okay, manus is hand. Okay, manicure. So hand, pedicure, foot, pedis, manus, manus. So anyways, they're still enjoying this. So I want to I don't know if you've seen, I think it's Learning Resource has like buzzers. And the girls are always fighting, like, who gets to answer when I'll say, okay, what does manus mean? Or what does pedis mean? Like, we'll go through, I'll kind of pick a few weeks and, like, we'll kind of review at the end of the week. And they fight, like, because they won't always raise their hands. Someone will shout out. So I saw these little buzzers. So I thought about getting those for them to, who gets to say the word. Okay, so after English from the roots up, we go straight into history. And so we're still working through streams of civilization. So I feel like it's been a lot of heavy on reading lately. So we've been struggling a little bit. We used to color a lot, and they're kind of pewtering out on coloring. I got, if you can see here, I got new markers to kind of get excited about coloring again. Or I have a lot of sensory bins. So I have a beans one, a rice one, and a noodles one. So I let them do that while we're reading aloud because just to keep their hands busy. Because I feel like if their hands aren't really busy, they kind of start to lose them. So that's been the best way to help keep them interested in what we're reading in. So again, we're coming to the end of Rome. So we're learning about Nero, the Flavian dynasty, about entertainment. They were very much into their entertainment, which we're very much into our entertainment nowadays. Lots of correlation to today. If you have not studied Rome, it might shock you. We also read from the Roman Empire book and Ancient World about like chariot races. And we also started Story of the World. So my girls were really excited about this. I also have bought the Story of the World activity book, which we haven't needed to use it yet, but I thought it might be fun to give extra coloring pages. But it doesn't come with the My Father's World curriculum. I bought it separately just to see if it would be fun, a fun extra. I've heard there's like a good book listed and stuff, but it is not necessary at all. So yeah, we started Story of the World, and we also were learning about the sign of the fish that the Christians would write in the sand. And so they were trying to do it. We have a salt bin, so they were trying to do it with their toes, and it was really funny to write their own sign of the fish. And I just found this online and printed it out, but it means Jesus Christ, God's Son, Savior. This here, Ioxois, I can't say it. Okay, and they also have been working on their timeline and the destruction of the Jewish temple. Oh, I got my first grader, or my second grader. She did not do hers. Thought she did. Let's see, how far is she? Well, she did Julius Caesar, and Caesar Augustus, and Jesus. but we have not done. So if you haven't seen how we do it super long, I'm not going to pull it all out, but this is how we do our timeline. Woo! There's some of it. So this is the first grade timeline, and then we just have added in the Rome to Reformation. It kind of worked out perfectly for hers. And then my older daughter's timeline is creation to the Greeks, and then the Rome to Reformation together. Okay, so it also said to make a costume. We didn't do the costume. And then they did a notebook page on the Roman Empire, which it was crazy how large it was. Okay, so moving on, we've also been reading through Galen and the Gateway to Medicine. I would say this probably isn't my girls' favorite book, but they have learned some interesting things. Like, did you know that they would use geese to peck at people's boils to pop them? Fun fact. And kind of disgusting. Or very disgusting. They would have dogs lick wounds. Like, that's gross. So, anyways, they found learned some interesting facts about medicine in Rome. And I guess there's another one of these written by the same person. And it was just fascinating what he thought of the medicine. But Galen was able to work with the gladiators, which was totally interesting to read about, just helping them. And he got to learn a lot about wound care. Some stuff that we still use today, which I was quite fascinated. Like, you know, it's been almost 2,000 years, and like some stuff we still use that they used back then. Okay, we also, for science, they're working through the body book, and it was learning about the brain. Oh, I forgot. I'll grab it. They were not super into building the brain. And since we were just getting back to school, I kind of didn't push it to build the whole brain structure. So we just talked about it, and then I got, for one of my daughters for Christmas, let me go grab it, another thing. Found a model of a brain. So I found this on Amazon. But it's got all the parts of the brain. So I thought, oh, well, that will work well. And then it's got the number on this side. So then you can put them together. So this was a helpful visual going over the brain. Okay, so we've talked about Bible, their Latin, history, timeline, science, and now we're on to art and music. So I'll start with music. We've been listening to Mozart. They're really enjoying just listening to the songs, and we do listen to it. We just, at the end of the day, this is like what we'll listen to, and they can, again, I don't really force like a specific thing during that time. They can kind of just start to dance around. They can get a book. They can whatever. But we do listen to whichever song scheduled for that day. And then we're going through God and the history of art still. And this was really interesting, learning about Rome and the early Christians and Christian art. So they had to kind of do their own Christian art. So she made a dove with like a halo to represent peace. And the halo was the attribute of sanctity. So that was kind of fun. But they learned a lot about Christian symbolism from back in the Roman time. And so that was a fun study. And then lastly is our read aloud. And our read aloud we do at the end of the day before bed. And we're still reading through Twice Freed. And we're really enjoying it. I really like that author. I forget her name now. But we've read 3 of her other books. It's talking about Philemon from the Bible and his slave, Onesimus. And just the references, it's really cool to read. So it kind of gives backstory. So it's a historical fiction, I guess. Okay, I think that's everything. That was a lot. So Rome's the Reformation, and that wasn't even their like individual stuff. So we're still working through math and English and spelling. What else? Reading. Oh, writing. So sometimes The days are long, but we're getting it done. So obviously we don't do it all. Don't think we get it all done. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my kindergartner. So God's creation from A to Z. And this was after Christmas, so we did not do all of the experiments or anything like that. We pretty much just did her traditional lessons and then the Bible and the readings. So, because there was a lot. So this week we learned about water. So, water. So we started learning about that this week. She's still working through her calendar and 100 chart. She's doing really well with that. And I'm having her write all the numbers in so that she really practices it. We read the poem every day. This one was by Robert Louis Stevenson. The rain is raining all around. It falls on field and tree. It rains on the umbrellas here and on the ships at sea. Since we get so much rain here, it was like, oh yeah, it's a perfect one for this week. Okay, so what we've added in this week is we're working through her, I don't know if I've shared this, the short vowel sound song. So she does the ah. I hear ah in cat and man, in net and bed, and well, we haven't done yet. Ah and sock and duck, and bus. Did I say sock and duck? Sock and box. And then and bus and duck. Okay, I can do this. So she's doing really well with this song, and I think it really helps them to hear that vowel sound in the middle of the words. And then we also have been doing the bingo game. So she really likes this one when we do it. We just use little tokens to put them on. I'll use one as my reference for these to kind of make it simple. Let's see here. So she worked through some papers as well. She worked on her W's. And then she worked through this. So how I have her do this is like I'll just say what's the first sound, and I'll just lay them all out, and she'll if she can't remember, I'll tell her like and then she's doing really well remembering her vowels. So she'll go ah, and then we'll try and put them together, mom. So she's doing really good with that. She really recognizes her S's, so that's been helpful. And then for math, she was doing money. This was working on her, blend ladder. And then for these, I let her use a do-a-dot. She gets to stamp these as she goes. And then this, we do it all of this stuff. She did all those on the back, the cut and paste. And then this was fun with her CD at the end of the week. She got to paint water, and we drew little fish, which was kind of fun since my olders were learning about the sign of the fish. So that was kind of cool that she made her own fish for that. So for the Bible, it was Jesus gives my spirit living water to drink. So I saw someone had commented on the kindergarten Facebook how the biblical concepts are kind of, since they're concepts, sometimes it's a little abstract. And so I appreciate, like, my daughter's a little older. She's 6 now. So teaching these, I don't know if she totally grasps all of it, but, like, it's good to really be talking about this with her and talking about, like, thirst and that water quenches us and that the Holy Spirit or Jesus gives our spirit that living water. So that was cool. We were supposed to do for, like, the activities was learning about the liquid and the solid and the gas, and we didn't do any of that. She drank water. Does that count? And she also made her badge. I don't know if you can see it here. Oh, I'm doing things too far. Right there. Can't point there. Right there. Here. It's her water. So I just let her paint them. She really likes painting them. We also read Make Way for Ducklings by Robert McCloskey. I love this book. Super fun. His art was so cool. His illustrations. The ducks. Anyways, I just love it. So that was really fun to read. And it was funny because the last thing was to observe rain, and we have a ton of rain. So we watched the rain and talked about it some. And that was about it. So we didn't do a whole lot. But she definitely got done, you know, I really pushed for those core subjects with the kindergarten stuff, so we did all that. She had lots of fun. So God's creation from A to Z. And don't forget, if you haven't been reading the Thoughts from Marie, they're just fantastic. And at the end of this lesson about the water, she tells a story about like a plant that she hadn't been watering and how she started watering it. And she just goes into explaining how like not only do our children need these like biblical concepts, but we need them too. And it is so important for us to remember these things. And I just feel like I just love this curriculum that it like gives you those reminders that not only are you teaching your children this, but like you're being taught as well and being fed and watered as a believer. So it's so good, and I just love it. And don't forget, they also do like a section on the books that you read aloud that come with the curriculum, so that you can ask questions about the reading to make sure that they're understanding what's being read to them and that there's that comprehension. Which I really appreciate. Like, you look at the pictures and you find the water and what the ducks are doing. And then you can also just let them retell the story, which I think is fantastic. And felt like that was so quick, but that was it. So there you go. So God's creation from A to Z, and Rome to the Reformation. So let me know which week you are to for homeschooling and how your school is going. I hope you all are doing well and that no one's getting burnt out. This is kind of the time when everyone starts getting burnt out. It's January, everything's kind of slowing down, but maybe it's a good thing right now to kind of slow down. So anyways, if you like this video, here are some other videos to go and check out, and I hope to see you at the next video. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.